In a world that quietly trains us to comply, freedom has become one of the rarest forms of power. Think of the small signals that shape your everyday life. Performance reviews that reward agreement more than judgment. Online platforms that amplify what is popular rather than what is true. Workplaces where silence is often safer than dissent. Modern life offers comfort, speed, and connection. Yet beneath these advantages runs a softer command. Conform, perform, adapt, agree. Most people imagine freedom as distance. They picture leaving the city or rejecting ambition. But for most, that isn't possible. The bills remain. Families depend on us. The world does not loosen its grip simply because we see through it. So the real question is not how to escape society. It is how to live inside it without being owned by it. Two thinkers, separated by centuries, offer a path. Marcus Aurelius teaches inner sovereignty, the ability to govern your own mind when everything outside demands obedience. Niccolo Machiavelli teaches strategic awareness, the ability to move through power without illusion. One protects the inner life, the other protects your position in the world. Together, they form a philosophy for those who want to remain free without becoming isolated. This is not a motivational piece. It is an invitation to live with discipline, awareness, and dignity in a system that rarely rewards any of them. 1. Guarding the inner life. Marcus Aurelius was not a philosopher in retreat. He was an emperor surrounded by war, plague, and betrayal. He wrote his Meditations to remember who he was when the world tried to define him. At the center of his thinking is a simple boundary. The world can touch the body, but it cannot command your judgment. He asked one question every day. Is this within my control? If it was, he acted with care. If it was not, he released it. This allowed him to conserve his energy for what truly belonged to him. He practiced what the Stoics called negative visualization. He rehearsed difficulty before it arrived. When pain is expected, it loses its power to dominate you. He sought freedom from being ruled by his emotions. As he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." 2. Seeing the world without illusion. But Stoic endurance can be incomplete. It protects the soul, but it doesn't always protect your agency in a world driven by ambition and incentives. For that, we turn to Machiavelli. Machiavelli didn't ask how the world ought to be. He asked how it is. He observed that people respond more to what they see than to what is true. Therefore, the person who shapes perception often shapes outcomes. He warned us. Men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone can see, but few can feel. This wasn't a call to be cruel. It was a warning against being naive. Machiavelli argued that a person who refuses to learn strategy in order to remain pure isn't being noble. They are being ineffective. Strategy is not dishonesty. It is the difference between being manipulated and being discreet. 3. The framework of the unownable. The rare individual does not choose one and reject the other. They learn when each is needed. From these two thinkers, we get a three-part structure for your life. First, the citadel. This is your internal home. Define what you will not sell for comfort or approval. Practice small refusals every day to remember that you can say no. Second, the lens. This is the habit of seeing incentives instead of speeches. Watch patterns, not promises. Ask what people fear losing. This isn't suspicion, it is awareness. Third, the options. Freedom is not a feeling, it is capacity. Maintain a skill that is valuable across different systems. Build a financial runway. If you have no options, you cannot have a citadel. 4. The architecture of the modern trap. Before we can master the system, we must identify the invisible threads it uses to pull our levers. The modern world does not use chains. It uses incentives. The system owns you through predictability. If the system knows exactly what you are afraid of losing, your title, your mortgage, your social standing, it can dictate your behavior without ever firing a shot. Most men live in a state of functional dependency. They have high salaries, but zero freedom, because their lifestyle has expanded to consume every penny of their income. They are owned, not by a villain, but by their own overhead. Machiavelli would call this a strategic blunder. You have surrendered your fortress for the sake of decoration. To be unownable, you must first become unpredictable. This doesn't mean being chaotic. It means being the only person in the room who is actually willing to walk away. 5. The corporate battlefield, applying the lens. In the modern office, we are often told that we are family. Marcus Aurelius would advise you to look at this with clinical clarity. A company is a legal entity designed for profit. To call it a family is a linguistic trick used to bypass your professional boundaries. When you use the lens, you stop listening to the mission statement on the wall, and you start looking at the incentive map. Who gets promoted? Is it the most capable or the most compliant? What is the real currency? Is it results, or is it the appearance of being busy? Machiavelli notes that the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. In the workplace, you must be both. You must have the lion's competence, being so good at what you do that you are difficult to replace. But you must have the fox's awareness, understanding the office politics so you aren't blindsided by someone else's ambition. Marcus reminds us that their gossip and their schemes have no power over our character. You can participate in the meeting, deliver the results, and play the part, all while your inner citadel remains untouched. You are a ghost in the machine. You provide the value, but you do not provide your soul. 6. Digital sovereignty, the war for attention. The system now follows you home. It is in your pocket. The algorithm is the ultimate Machiavellian prince. It knows your weaknesses better than you do. It knows which headlines make you angry and which images make you feel inadequate. If you do not have a citadel, your attention is a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder. Marcus Aurelius would be horrified by the modern reaction economy. We are trained to have an opinion on everything immediately. We feel a demand to post, to comment, to judge. But Marcus teaches us, you always have the option of having no opinion. There is a profound power in being the person who does not react. When you refuse to give your attention to the outrage of the day, you are performing an act of rebellion. You are reclaiming the most valuable resource you own, your time. 7. Financial runway as a weapon. We must speak of the options mentioned earlier. In the 21st century, the most Machiavellian move you can make is extreme frugality combined with high income. Why? Because FU money is a philosophical tool. If you have 6 months of expenses in the bank, you can speak 10% more truth. If you have 2 years of expenses, you can be 50% more honest. If you have a decade of expenses, you are, for all intents and purposes, free. Machiavelli understood that the prince with the strongest walls can negotiate from a position of power. Your savings are your walls. The system wants you in debt. Debt is a tether. It makes you a safe employee because a man with a heavy mortgage is a man who won't rock the boat. To be unownable, you must treat your finances as a military defense. Every dollar saved is a brick in your citadel. 8. The danger of the pure Stoic. There is a trap in Stoicism that we must address. Many people use Marcus Aurelius as an excuse for passivity. They say, "I cannot control my boss's cruelty, so I will simply endure it." This is where Machiavelli must intervene. Endurance is a virtue, but unnecessary suffering is a mistake. If you are in a burning building, a Stoic doesn't sit in the flames and practice inner peace. A Stoic recognizes that the fire is a reality, and a Machiavellian finds the nearest exit. Being unownable means that when a situation becomes a threat to your integrity, you use your options to leave. Virtue is not being a doormat. Virtue is having the strength to protect what is good. 9. Relationship and the public stage. Machiavelli famously said it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. In a modern context, we can translate this to, it is better to be respected than liked. The desire to be liked is a vulnerability. It makes you easy to manipulate. If someone knows you need their approval, they can withhold it to keep you in line. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the people whose approval we seek are themselves flawed, inconsistent, and will soon be dead. Their applause is empty. When you move through the world, you should be kind, Marcus, but you should be firm, Machiavelli. People should know that your kindness is a choice, not a sign of weakness. 10. The daily discipline of the sovereign man. How do we live this tomorrow morning? The morning review. Before checking your phone, ask, what is within my control today? Prepare for the wolves you will meet. Rehearse your reactions so they don't catch you off guard. The strategic silence. In meetings, speak 30% less than you want to. Listen for the incentives behind what others are saying. The skill acquisition. Spend 1 hour a day building a skill that is independent of your current job. This is your escape hatch. The evening audit. Look at your day. Where did you sell yourself? Where did you let an external event break your peace? Don't judge yourself. Just observe and adjust for tomorrow. On last. Every system eventually asks the same thing. How much of you is for sale? If the answer is formed in fear, the system will name your price. If the answer is formed in discipline and awareness, there will be very little to buy. Marcus teaches the inner refusal. Machiavelli teaches the outer competence. Together, they allow you to walk through the world without being owned by it. Build the citadel. Use the lens. Create options. And move through the world with a humanity that remains entirely your own. The system is not a person or a government. It is a collection of pressures, expectations, and biological drives. To live inside it without being owned by it is the ultimate great work. It requires the heart of a saint and the eyes of a spy. You must be able to love your neighbor and your family with total Stoic devotion, while simultaneously navigating the marketplace with Machiavellian coldness. You are the emperor of your own mind. You are the strategist of your own life. The world will try to buy you. It will offer you titles, money, and comfort. Take what is useful, but never trade your ability to walk away. Remain unownable. Remain awake.